I'm white. I have not experienced and will likely ever experience institutional racism. The amount of social racism I experience is insignificant to that which Black people and other people of color experience in their day-to-day. My perspective will always be, at least somewhat, that of an outsider's. I want to share my concerns with the current situation happening across our country and also on social media. Most of the people on my social media have been talking about the murder of George Floyd, the protests, and the riots. They've been expressing their contempt for the current policing system, our institutions, and how our governments have been responding to this social outcry. I am so glad to see so many people, young and old, express how there needs to be change. What I am glad to see most is that people seem to be putting their words into actions this time. Many people aren't just posting on Instagram story about how racism is bad or or signing a petition on change.org. Many are being active. They're donating, participating in protests, and helping those in need during this troublesome time. I'm seeing action everywhere, and I praise it. It's honestly great to see that. Social and institutional change is needed, as it has always been needed for decades. And aiding others is an amazing form for helping this push for change. Anger is a strong tool. Rage is a stronger tool. I have been seeing support and aid on social media and in person. Anger can fuel acts like these, those which positively affect others. Anger can protest against inherently flawed systems. Anger can organize groups which offer food, money, and medical assistance to those in need. Anger can spark thoughts of equality and of reform. Anger can influence our governments to change for the better. Anger is good. I was lucky to attend a talk this year at my school, which was by Cornel West. It was here that he emphasized this exact point. I'm glad to have gone to that. It's made me think a lot about the purpose of our emotions and how to act using them as fuel. Anger, however, can also lead to rage. And I've seen a lot of rage recently as well. Rage is a rhinoceros. It's extremely powerful, it's almost unstoppable, and it's practically blind. Rage destroys things without a care for who is affected. Riots are fueled by rage. The riots in Minnesota are not good. Innocent people, innocent white people, innocent Black people are having their livelihoods upended and destroyed. This can be seen through various media and sources, people telling stories and giving their experiences. You can condemn inequality and racism without being complacent to violence. I've seen several people on my social media disagree with this and to promote rioting as necessary. This is wrong to do. People living in the places where these riots are occurring are being harmed. Yes, it's largely because the police, there's this problem, and the police are responding very poorly to it, and people are angry, rightly so. And there's been attacks on peaceful people. But people living in places where these riots are occurring are being harmed. A sizable chunk of those fueling the Minnesota riots are not even from the state. USA Today reports that only 12 of 18 people arrested from Thursday to Saturday in St. Paul, Minnesota, lived in Minnesota. This information came from a civil arrest list provided by the town's police department. That is 33% of the people arrested in that group having come out of state. It is important to acknowledge, though, that 2 of those people did not give residences. A Minnesota-based news source named St. Paul Pioneer Press also reported that in Minneapolis, from Friday to Saturday, 10 of the 57 arrests were from out of state. That is 18%, with 2 not getting residences. Those statistics, came from the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office for that. Even as small concentrations of protesters, however, out-of-staters can help turn peaceful protests into violent rioting. Worse, white supremacists are theorized to be taking advantage of the situation and fueling the riots. Governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, suspects, and it is important to acknowledge that is a suspicion, however, that white supremacists and extremists are joining in riots, taking advantage of them, which are taking place in his state. From Minnesota Public Radio, it's been reported that a far-right militia group with its members are attending the protests in Minneapolis. These are not the protests you'd think that they'd come to normally. Why would they come? I understand and acknowledge that in several situations, like I said, the police have abused peaceful protesters, with the cops fueling the rage. This is absolutely terrible and should not be condoned or accepted. I know that it is coming from an area of privilege to condemn certain citizens for rioting when their protests have been met with force. However, I also feel it comes from a place of privilege to accept that the rioting is necessary and call who done as racists when you are not experiencing the destruction and harm that rioting causes. We, those who are able, should support the cause and give aid to those hurt. We can still support and fight for a better system without condoning violence upon innocents. It is important to act during this time. Donate to legal funds. Protest. Give aid to others. Do whatever you're able to do while staying safe and healthy. One person on my social media posted a story that not attending a protest right now means that you're a racist. That isn't true on its own. Some people are unable to attend. It could be because they need to work, they physically can't, and they just might feel unsafe. The biggest reason I feel this mindset is toxic, though, is because some of us are in situations where COVID-19 is a serious threat. I am not attending protests like those in Boston, which are planned, because my father is 61, and it would not be safe for me to go. Protest if you are in situations where you can, please do. It is important for your government and for the public to listen to this movement. But if you can't, do other things. Don't remain silent and don't be complacent. We are a family and will not allow for the harm towards one of our siblings to continue. The police need to be policed. I'm donating to the Minnesota Freedom Fund, and I'm going to a candlelight vigil in my town on Tuesday, which is safer for me. I will do more. Do what you can and find out what is happening in your communities. And I'll be glad to see those of you from Hingham Tuesday night. Be loud and be safe.